Hey everyone, summer is coming, so that means it's time to get out and have some fun. Cleveland Recreation invites you to play by registering for any of our baseball, swimming, and junior golf programs. Baseball programs are available for youths ages 4 through 19. The basic fundamentals of the game are taught, and youths progress through various levels, ultimately participating in the Connie Mack League. If you would rather create a project of your own or express yourself through performing and visual arts, the Division of Recreation offers arts, crafts, ceramic programs, and show wagon performances. So come celebrate summer fun. Don't miss out on the free lunch program, summer camp, soapbox derby racing, and a host of other special events. You may even have the opportunity to celebrate an Indians victory in person at Progressive Field. Don't let summer pass you by. Visit one of our 20 recreation centers, 25 supervised playgrounds, 19 indoor pools, and 22 outdoor pools, and have yourself the best summer ever in the city of Cleveland.
Hello and welcome to this episode of This Is How We Do It. My name is Blaine A. Griffin, Executive Director of the Community Relations Board, and in this episode we'll be talking with Ed Jamison, the Chief of Animal Care and Control. Ed, how are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you, Ed. Ed, this show is all about enhanced services and how enhanced services in the city of Cleveland will make the quality of life for the residents of this city of Cleveland better. So tell us, first of all, what does your department do? Let everybody know.
Yes, at the Division of Animal Care and Control, we are responsible for most animal situations that can be found throughout the city. We used to be just dog wardens, and that has expanded over the recent years. But we bring in over 3,500 dogs a year. We deal with nuisance wildlife trapping. Some of my budget helps support the Animal Protective League with getting cats altered so that the reproduction rates drop, and really pretty much anything with most animals, we're the people who get called.
That's great. That's great. Now, you've received a great enhancement to your services because I believe you have several new personnel. Tell us about the personnel that you received that's going to help you, and how would this personnel translate to engaging the community and making sure that we enhance services to the community?
Absolutely. We're very fortunate in the Division of Animal Care and Control that my budget was $1.4 million. It goes up to just about $2.4 million moving forward here. Mostly personnel. We have been stretching. Animal control officers have been very multitasking. So one, we're going to free up animal control officers to have more people on the road, but we're also going to have a lot of that personnel will be inside the building, so we'll be giving better service even inside the building also. But where we've been having 3 officers on the road during the day, there'll be 6 out on the road most of the day, 4 into the evening now, and there will be somebody on until 4:30 in the morning. So even for those nuisance barking dog complaints, you'll have somebody you can call and we can try to get the problem solved.
That's great. That's great. And now tell us, you said that it used to be mainly dogs, and everybody talks about the barking dogs and those things. Tell us, what kind of innovative techniques that your department use in order to try to deal with, the dogs and those kind of things in the city.
Yeah, the intake numbers have been slowly dropping. It was always over 4,000 impounded a year. I mean, in the last 2 years, they've been slowly going down, not because we aren't catching them, but we think that some initiatives have been taking hold, education for people, I'm real big on block watch meetings, getting out and just being able to talk to the people to hear their problems. But whether it's a dog running loose, an unfortunate dog bite situation, or the nuisance conditions, to say barking dog is something that really can bother you if you live next door to a barking dog. So most of the time, simply by having an officer go out and talk to the owner of the animal, we can usually get the problem fixed. And then unfortunately, sometimes when people aren't willing to get into compliance, then we do have law enforcement capabilities to issue citations and get people into court. So that's with the dogs, and like we said, we do more than just that. Nuisance wildlife is a big issue, and we do offer multiple solutions for getting traps out to be able to, in accordance with the state of Ohio wildlife laws, to be able to help with those raccoons, possums, skunks, things like that have become a nuisance.
And I want to come back to that, but I do want to touch base on the dogs again, because I believe that I once heard a number, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but about 82% of the dogs that you bring into your agency get adopted or go to another agency. So you're doing more humane type of things than just trying to capture
yes,
dogs.
and that's one of the big things that this enhanced budget will do, is we've worked real hard to stretch things, but we're going to be able to give more care to the animals we have and be able to find homes. In 2016, we had an 82% save rate, which is, we're very happy with that. I don't do things to get to a number, but I'm glad to see that our numbers are improving by the policies that we have in place. And the city created the City Dogs program, which is our adoption program, which does highlight the high, predominantly bully breeds that come into the kennel, and said we're getting about 82% into homes. I think I ran the numbers last week. We're at 86% as of Friday. Of finding good, favorable outcomes for these adoptable animals that we're picking up.
Now, you said raccoons, you said possums, you said those type of large rodents, but I live in an area where once and occasionally we see deer. How do you handle deer issues and those kind of larger animals that sometimes surface in our areas?
Yeah, and deer is not something that we won't come out for a deer being a deer. What I encourage everybody to do with any of these wildlife conditions is there's a reason that there's a wild animal living by you. And it's usually you're making them comfortable. So they have access to food, water, and shelter. So if you have a bunch of garbage in your yard, you are going to be inviting certain animals to come. If you have an abundance of shelter through to, a garage is not shut all the way, you're asking those animals to come in. Deer are harmless other than what they can do to your plants and, in your nice landscape, and they do sell deterrents that work great for deer. But the deer population across from Ohio is increasing, and we're just trying to find more ways to be able to cohabitate where everybody can live happily together.
Now, do you regulate any other type of animals? Like, I know we've had a lot of legislation around chickens and livestock and other kind of issues, and then also sometimes people have exotic pets. Do you regulate anything pertaining to those issues as well?
Yes, we do get called on all of that. Exotic animals are pretty much illegal in the city of Cleveland, and that takes into account your alligators, which we always impound a couple of those a year, your exotic snakes. Councilwoman Brady spearheaded an ordinance a few years back on that you had to have a permit, and there's a state permit and a federal permit, and there's only like 2 people in the city of Cleveland that actually have that permit. So those animals you're not supposed to have. And then when you get into the farm animal, there is an urban farming ordinance. It falls under the building and health departments. However, I'm the one who gets called when something's running loose, and most of the calls start with me. But you can legally have chickens, even goats. It all has to do with square footage, the type of shelter and housing that you have. And, we encourage ownership properly with those, but they can very easily become a nuisance. Roosters, you have to have an acre, which most people don't. Roosters obviously can be very noisy. But I think it's great for people who are able to harvest their own eggs and sustain themselves, like that. But they do need to obtain a permit first.
That's great. Now, you're getting a new building, and I know that that's part of the capital budget, but I hear exciting things about this building. Tell us why this building is so exciting and so unique, and how it's going to help your whole division.
Yeah, the building has been something which was one of the things, even in entertaining myself and throwing my name in the hat to come over to Cleveland, was knowing that this was happening. I know that we're going on 10 years in the works, and this is the year it's finally going to happen. Anyone who's been to our current building knows that it's 40 years old. Animal control was done much differently in the 1970s than it is now. So this new building, it's state of the art. A whole lot of consideration went into how animals flow through the building as well as people flow through the building. It can be a rough experience to come down to the current one. It's noisy. All the animals are in one room. It's a big bark box. Here, each thing will be broken down, no more than 10 dogs in a room. The dogs will be kept much more comfortably. Sickness, the individual air for each holding area, so kennel cough is something that's very prevalent at our current kennel. That won't be the case at this new kennel, and I believe that we're slated for, knock on wood, it should be in June, is my understanding, that hopefully we'll have some type of activity over on Detroit Avenue.
That's great. You have a lot of volunteers and a lot of activists that are very passionate about animal control. Tell us how you've cultivated that relationship, because what I hear from some of those activists is that you're really, really engaged, which is what this public enhanced service budget is really doing with the city of Cleveland. Tell us how you utilize this opportunity to engage that volunteer and that passionate group of people to really make sure that you provide good care and quality service for the animal control.
Well, absolutely. The entire interview process almost 3 years ago when I came over, volunteers were at the key, from the assistant director to the director right down to the mayor, questions about working with volunteers. And I am smart enough to know that you can't do everything on your own. And in animal sheltering across the country, every successful department, division, agency leans heavily on their volunteers. So it starts with my volunteer coordinator, Michelle Harvanik, who has just done an absolutely wonderful job. We're up to over 200 volunteers that are trained. We have people that are there every day of the week, even when we're closed on holidays. We're getting dogs outside, and we simply don't have the personnel to take care of. We average about 122 dogs a day is what we averaged in 2016. We could quadruple my staff, and that's still not enough to give these dogs, to get them outside, to give them the enrichment toys that they need, the things that keep them happy and healthy so they don't deteriorate and we can find them home. So our volunteers, I'll put the City Dog volunteers up against any volunteer group in the country. They're extremely passionate. They are dedicated to these dogs. And I believe we did 150 some off-site events last year, and we're already scheduled to do over 200 off-site events this year. Because one of the plans was to be able to get these dogs out into the public so that people can see them and realize, wow, these dogs really can make a great pet.
You seem very passionate about this job. So what I'd like to know, one, is how you got into this field of animal care and control. And then two, I would like to understand, as a resident, how is this enhanced service amount, and I don't know, you didn't give me a price that you're enhancing, like you're increasing your budget by how much?
It'll be $1 million additional, from 1.4 to 2.4.
Okay, so 1.4 to 2.4.
Yes.
So tell us how you got into this field, and then also tell us how you envision me as a resident to be impacted by this investment in enhanced services, so that I see less dogs in the neighborhood, I see less cats, I have a more humane approach. Tell us how you feel about it.
No, absolutely. As far as getting into the field, I was one of those kind of the right place at the right time. I came from the city of Garfield Heights. I worked for their service department, and their animal services was done out of there. They simply were looking for people to train, and I took that training, and ultimately a full-time position came up in that field, and it didn't take long, about 2 weeks into it, and I said, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, which is also how I ended up in Cleveland. I said, just the scale is so much bigger, and know the ability to touch so many more, not just animals, but people. I knew that opportunity was something that I at least wanted to put my name in the hat, and I'm very fortunate to have been given the opportunity. As far as passion, I absolutely do. I have passion about the animals. I am very service-oriented. I'm the kind of person, after 9/11, I enlisted in the Army Reserves and ended up in Iraq because I believe if you can do, you need to make yourself available to do. And this Cleveland is where it's led me to today. Service for our residents. There are some people who care tremendously about the animals in the kennel. There are some people whose concern is about stray dogs. There are some people whose concern is about nuisance. And this enhanced budget is going to reach everybody. You don't have to even like dogs or animals to know that this service, enhanced service, you'll see a benefit to it. So between the increased people on the streets, you'll see that every day simply by being a resident out in the streets. We're upping our staff that answer the phones to be able to get calls dispatched even faster so that we can respond. And if you are a person who likes to adopt or spread the good word about good animals that we have, again, this budget, you'll see that point blank simply by the added care that we're going to be able to give to the animals in the kennel. So I think it's very well-rounded, our approach as to reaching anybody and everybody, whether you're a far extreme animal lover or someone who just has animal issues in your neighborhood, that you're going to see an impact right away.
Chief, give us a number that we can contact your office.
Yeah, 216-664-3069. We are busy, and it's busy because I believe we're doing good things. Our phone rings all the time. If the voicemail comes on, leave us a message. We are checking that voicemail all day long. Right now I have somebody getting those, working in the office till 6 o'clock throughout the week. When the budget is fully in place, it'll be till 8 o'clock that we'll have. So even if they miss the call, they'll be able to grab that very quickly. And then my evening officers call into the voicemail nonstop. So say there'll be somebody working till 4:30 to handle problems. So 216-664-3069, and I pride myself on trying to respond very quickly.
Chief, thank you so much for telling us about animal care and control in the city of Cleveland. I think it's a critical service. I happen to be a dog lover myself, so I really appreciate all of what you've done to be innovative in how you approach the animals in this city. So thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Once again, Cleveland, this is how we do it. You asked for enhanced services, you passed issue 32, you got it. We just met with Chief Ed Jamison, the Chief of Animal Care and Control. Animal care and control is a critical component to quality of life in the city of Cleveland. And as Director Mike McGrath said earlier in another conversation, this is all about community engagement and customer service for you. Mayor Jackson is asked for us to provide enhanced services, and now this is how we do it. I'm your host, Blaine A. Griffin, Executive Director of the Community Relations Board.